Hi there, I'm Jimmy Dillon. Welcome to Eclectic Electric Guitar. For the next 3 DVDs, we're going to be exploring all the variations of electric guitar, and I'm going to talk about my influence through the years, how I got to where I am as a professional musician. I want to start out, first of all, this is a Fender Stratocaster, Eric Clapton Strat, and I'll get more into the details of this particular instrument and what I'm using for amplification a little bit later. But the first thing I want to start out on is a little piece of kind of electric guitar technique that I like to use. You'll find that I play a lot without a pick, and I work with a pick as well. I do hybrid picking and with or without, depending on what the song really calls for. But in this particular, we have a lot of Jimi Hendrix fans out there, I'm sure, and he really changed the world with his style and his innovation. But before Hendrix, he had some Curtis Mayfield and Steve Cropper were a big influence on the way that he played, and Buddy Guy was as well. And we'll discuss all that in length later in detail. But this is a fun little, in the key of E, which is a great Hendrix key, which by the way, he was a half a tone flat. So his E was an E flat, so if you're ever trying to learn Hendrix and you're wondering why it sounds funny, he was tuned down. But we're going to do it in concert E. So what I'm going to show you is a series of exercises in a Hendrix style of playing. And I played a little bit on my intro there that you saw. So I like to start out with an E, a jump up an octave. So this speaks to the kind of the more majestic flavor of Hendrix's stuff. We come up with from a B note on the A string. And I'm going to come up and do something off of the high E chord here, okay? I work off of chords a lot. Visually, that helps me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a lick that works on the 1, the 4, and the 5 in a Hendrix mode, and I'll show you some hammer-ons and stuff. So this one, it goes like this. Then I go to A. Our B chord, A, and then back up. So that's my version of kind of a Hendrix flavored thing that really comes from an R&B background. So what we're doing is I'm going to break that down for you now. Right hand, left hand. I'm basically doing a pinch here on these high B and E string and a hammer-on, okay? So the hammer-on goes from the octave E. Start out with that, right? You got your B and your E. Now you go up an octave, your 12th fret, and you hammer on with your third finger the C sharp note on the B string. Okay, this is a real kind of again an R&B flavored Hendrix thing. You probably recognize that sound. Okay, so the first move is, and that's almost like a D position. You know how you make your D down here? You make a D position with your second finger on the octave B, and your first finger on an F sharp. And what you're really doing is coming up to an E chord, if you visualize it. Sometimes you hear that in country music. But in this case, it's a hammer-on. And then you pull off. So the first two licks are, and then I come up to a, okay, it's a descending line. So the first half is, that's working off your G and your B string here, okay? So you're hammering on to a F sharp note with your from your first finger to your third finger on the G string, and then so your positioning is, then you drop down to what's really an E chord here, and you hammer on, and then same move but one string up. And then again, same move exactly, one string up, and then E. So So we're really we're working from this octave E to this E here. And once you get this lick, you can apply it to any chord, anytime. You can do it in G, A, B, C, and so on. D. So this is a really useful lick for you to have, and it will really spice up your playing, hopefully. So I'm going to take it from the entire lick from the beginning to the end in slow motion for you, just a little bit slower, and then I'll play it up to speed and you'll see how it works. So I like to start out with that E, and then okay? And now we're going to do the same move in A. Okay, same exact lick. And back up to E. Now we're going to do it in B. A. Back up to E. Of course, that was a classic lick from The Wind Cries Mary, right? Now what you're doing there is you're going from a D to a D sharp to an E. And you're hammering on, this is the genius, part of the genius of Hendrix, is hammering on from an E note to an F sharp, and then chromatic up a half a step, and then lastly an E. So what's important to understand here is we're working off this is a good visual, working off this E chord here. These are great licks that you can use anytime, and that you can slip and slide around them. Back up to B. See what I'm doing there on the A? I'm utilizing the D string and the G string. And I'm just doing an E and a B note, okay, and sliding. And then back to the E. E with an F sharp in it. One of my favorite chords. So I think this is a really good place to start. Obviously, E being a great key for guitar, we love it. It's got a lot of open strings to it. But when we approach an electric guitar, of course, it's very different than acoustic. In the last two courses I've given you, the Soul of Acoustic Guitar and Rockin' the Blues, we did a lot of finger picking, a lot of acoustic guitar stuff, and then we moved slowly into electric guitar. This is going to be dedicated strictly to electric guitar, this whole project that we're doing right now, Eclectic Electric. And when I say eclectic electric, I mean the road less traveled, if you will. I'm not going to give you just plain old licks that you've heard a million times. I'm going to give you stuff that I've sort of got in my back pocket, that I've accumulated over the years of playing, doing a lot of session work, sharing the stage with lots of different people, different situations. So these are some of my favorite licks that I think really work. So now I'm going to play this for you one more time, and I'm going to get a little bit more fancy with it. I'm going to do some movement around this thing, but it's basically a 1-4-5 or a 1-5-4, depending on how you do it. But it's in the Hendrix style, or the the Buddy Guy, Hendrix, Curtis Mayfield, Steve Cropper. He did a lot of that. And we'll get to some of that as well. So here's the whole little piece. This is Jimmy Dillon's version of Jimi Hendrix, okay? So here's how it goes. So that's my Jimmy Does Jimmy lesson for you.